Hey guys, you ever thought to yourself, you know what? I got to find a way to get some more new patients, but I just don't want the regular type of new patients. I want some high quality new patients. Like, how do I get high quality, fee for service, maybe ideal patients for my type of practice? But I'm not really quite sure how to do it. And I want to spend a ton of money doing it. Well, if you've asked yourself that question, boy, do I have the answer for you today as we interview Dr. Daren Becker. And he is not only an awesome guy, an amazing dentist, and has a great viewpoint on how you can do this and have the greatest year ever. So do me a favor, grab a pen and hit the share button. You're going to love this. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. My name is Kirk Behrendt. I am so excited you're here. And boy, are you in for a treat. I'm your host. And every single week we take a look at the best business practices from the best dental practices all over. And I know what you're thinking. Gosh, this year's got to be better than last year. I think everyone is thinking that anyway. And you're wondering, how the heck can I do that? Grow a great fee-for-service practice and attract some more high-quality patients? Well, you're in for a treat because you're going to meet a great guy, a great business owner, a great dentist, great human being all around, Dr. Daren Becker, and I know you're going to love it, so just stick around. Now, couple things. If you're finding yourself here for the first time, you know, last year during the COVID conference, we saw a lot of dentists that were fresh into their careers. We have dental students now listening to the podcast. I always want to just say this: welcome to a great community of people that are just trying to learn and share the knowledge and the wealth and help you guys create a better practice and a better life. So do me a favor, wherever you're listening to podcasts, if you're listening to Spotify right now, do me a favor. See that button right down there that says subscribe? Just click the subscribe button, because I want you to show up every single week, because every single week I'm going to bring you a brand new key influencer or a great instructor in dentistry so we can bring you some great tips. You're going to see, I don't really know a lot. That's why I ask my friends to get by with a little help with your friends, and they've got some great insight. Also, if you haven't joined our private Facebook group, I'm going to encourage you to show up over there. Over 13,000 of you signed up during the COVID conference. It's still continuing to grow. It's awesome. And you're going to see it's just a lot of people in dentistry helping others, and you'll find a great support network over there. And then lastly, if you haven't joined us over at actdental.com, we're a coaching company. So we help dentists get back on their feet, build a great practice so that you can have a life too. And so if you're looking for resources like Act Dental U, every single week we bring a great instructor, and we have our master classes on Friday. You can check that out. Or if you just need somebody to talk to about your practice and get it going again, check us out over at actdental.com. I talked to a couple of people today, and if anything, just leave you a little bit more inspired about your future in dentistry. So I want to introduce my guest today. And Daren, you and I have been friends for a very long time, and I love any reason to get together with you. I had the good fortune of getting to know your dad, who was my instructor at, they used to call it C1 at the Pankey Institute. And then I got to know you and hang out with you. And you have not only been a great friend, a great colleague, you and I enjoy a lot of great food together. I brought my in-laws down and you took them out for the ultimate dining experience at Hinman. And we have just had many, many years of fun. You were also one of the first people I called last year when we got on the COVID conference. And you're going to share a lot of great stuff. Now, I know who you are. A lot of people that watch the conference know who you are. But if somebody's finding themselves here for the podcast for the first time, who is Dr. Daren Becker? What do you do? Where do you practice?
Thank you, Kirk, first of all, for having me on tonight. And you know that anytime you need anything, I'm here for you, brother. But I practice here in Atlanta, Georgia, where it is beautiful out tonight. And I have a private practice, a fee-for-service practice. I I grew up in South Florida, and I went to the University of Florida for dental school. And when I got out, I went through all of the continuum at the Pankey Institute. It's where I did all of my sort of advanced training. And so my practice is a very um, typical type of comprehensive, restorative, relationship based fee for service practice. One doctor, just me, and we sort of have a relatively low volume practice that focuses on what we call optimal care dentistry. That's appropriate for each individual patient. So it's individualized also. Um, I I enjoy so my I it's kind of like I do five things. I enjoy restorative dentistry. I have a great base of patients that are just your, let's call it, your routine general practice patients. I love doing aesthetic and cosmetic work, so I do a lot of that sort of thing. We do work a lot with implants on our patients, mostly um, dentate patients. I don't really do a whole lot of the fully dentulous, all on whatever implants. We do a couple of those. That's not the base of my practice. I know that there's some practices that's their whole thing, and that's great. Um, and and I do see a decent amount of TMD patients. Not, I don't want to be the TMD specialist in town because I think that's more stress than I'm willing to put up with. But my patients that I see for restorative needs that have TMD issues, we're pretty comfortable managing the bulk of those. So that's kind of who I am, I think, in terms of what I do and how I do it.
Yeah. Now I've been in your practice. You have a very unique setup. And I just love the way you think. And, we don't need to share numbers or anything like this, but January was your largest month ever. You never produced that much. That's not the important piece. The important piece is everybody wants to know, everyone's looking for a piece of like, what's working, what's not working. And then you and I were talking about this before we went live. There's a difference between a high quality patient and just a high volume of patients. But like, we're going to be talking about this holy grail of how do you find high quality fee for service patients that are highly referred to what you do. And I'm going to give listeners a little sense of where we're going. You're actually the specialist for the specialist. So kind of, first of all, tell us the why behind this. Why is this so important, what we're going to be talking about today? And then give us some insight on how you've changed your perspective on how you get high quality patients.
Yeah. So, for me, the idea is that, so the thing that I think I offer to my patients that may not be the routine in a routine general dentist practice is the idea of working with patients that have complex interdisciplinary type of needs. So there's going to be an orthodontic component, a periodontal component, an oral surgery component, a restorative component to get to the end result. And I think for a lot of patients, their experience is that's very disjointed. And what we try to do is make that very congruous and harmonious, and it's very much intentional. So my upbringing, let's call it, in dentistry, both with my mentor that I first practiced with as an associate, Dr. Jim Kincaid, who's still one of the finest dental operators on the planet,
Yes.
and my father, and what I've learned through my advanced studies, both at Pankey and at Dawson, is treating each patient individually, and that initial visit, that initial new patient experience. I want to have my hands in on that. And so we try to schedule new patients for a new patient comprehensive exam with me as their first or maybe second appointment. And as Kirk's talked before about, the ways that patients come into our practice, we have all the same, four ways that patients can come in, but we try to coach our patients on the phone when they call, new patients, to come in this way. Well, that means an hour and a half of my schedule that we schedule for me to be with that new patient. if I saw 20 or 30 new patients a month, I wouldn't have any time to do dentistry. I would just be seeing new patients. To get 5, let's call them qualified new patients that need what I do, what I love to do. And so for us, it became a necessity to get the number down to maybe 10 or 12 new patients a month, but have it be like 80% of those are going to be high quality, highly referred, well referred patients that are coming to me saying, I need what you do.
Right.
And so that's where it started. That's how it started. And then, and it took a while to develop. So this isn't like overnight you just decide to do this and it happens. But we basically started working with our specialists, and we have a team of specialists, orthodontic group, periodontal group, oral surgery group. Actually, our endodontist is a big referrer. And what we've done is we've created this, although we all have our own individual private practices throughout Atlanta, we have this sort of group practice mentality, and we get together on a very routine basis. It's scheduled in Dentrix, that we have a meeting every month or sometimes more to discuss and go over whatever the cases are that we have to talk about live in person. Now, we did a little virtual during COVID, but normally it's live. So that has developed into a referral source, so that now at this stage, and I'll be honest and tell you, I didn't do the numbers for 2020. I don't even know what they are, but for 2019, 85% of the new patients we saw were referred to us from one of our specialists.
Wow.
And then the rest are referred from, existing patients. But
okay, I want you to dig deeper in that, because
okay,
we're going to go down this path. I want people to understand. My first thing, I love it, you said, is we're a group practice, but we don't really have the building and the $10 million and the 17 ops and all that, which is brilliant. You've taken a concept and you've turned it on its head. Also, too, let's talk about the importance of a referral from a specialist. Like, this just isn't somebody who's showing up and going, yeah, I mean, your periodontist said you're okay. Like, that's the best referral you can possibly get in some respect, right?
Oh, 100%. So, the patient calls and says, hey, I just came from the periodontist office, and they told me I need to see Dr. Becker because I'm getting ready to have surgery and implants and whatever it is. And before they do anything, they want Dr. Becker's input and his, they want to know what they need to do to make him successful for me, whatever. And so the patients are literally coming in, and we sit in my consult room for a preclinical discussion, with every new patient. And their commentary is, all right, so I was told I need to see you first before I can do what I know I need to do. And they're literally saying, I know I need your dentistry. I need your work. So it's not like they're coming in with this skepticism of, what is he going to try to sell me? No, they're coming in with, I need what you do. And I need you to get with my periodontist, my orthodontist, my oral surgeon, whoever it is, to coordinate that care, that plan, that complex interdisciplinary care that I need. And those patients, now, I'll tell you this takes more time. It's more work, more preparation. But it's way more, I don't want to say more dentistry, because it's still appropriate dentistry. We're not trying to sell anybody anything they don't need, but typically in a comprehensive interdisciplinary case, if you're treatment planning for what's best for that patient for the long term, it's more dentistry. I think it's more profitable. It's way more fun. The most fun I have in dentistry right now is getting together with my specialists and going over these cases. Right. So I get that, reward there. And then the end result is, when we get to actually do the restorative dentistry part, it's so much easier because it's been planned out. The teeth are in the right place. The gum's in the right place. The implants are in the right place. It's all done according to a plan from way in the beginning. as opposed to what I think is more common, which is, the patient shows up at your office. All right, I just got these implants put in, and now you got to make my crowns. And you're like, wait a minute, they're crooked and they're not pointing in the right direction. And it's not that the surgeon didn't do a good job. It's just simply that there was no plan. There was nothing was done intentionally on the front end. So, and that's that practice of doing that over and over, has developed over the years. And I'm in practice now 23, 24 years, to now where when a patient goes to one of these specialists, let's say, and they say, I feel like what I need, my general dentist I've been seeing all these years, it's not in their wheelhouse. Who would you recommend? And the orthodontist goes, well, my dentist is Dr. Becker.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And that's how that works. And it's great.
Yeah. Now dig a little deeper, because one of the things you say, it is a lot of work. Let's be really clear. Like, you've got to be committed to relationships. You got to be good at building trust. I mean, and I've always said this, and I feel some people want the rewards, but they don't want to do the hard work. Like, everybody wants the medal, but they don't want to do all the training that it requires to get there. And this is one of those things that if you're committed to really giving, and that I feel like that's what you do, is giving to these specialists, because you're taking a model and you're flipping on its head, because a lot of times the specialist is trying to take care of all these GPs to earn these referrals, and it's the reverse for you. Is that true in this respect?
I'll say yes. I think that's exactly what's happened. And it kind of happened almost by accident at first, because I had one or two cases that were these complex kind of interdisciplinary cases. And when I said, well, I need to meet with the specialist first before we figure out what we're doing so we can all be on the same page, what I found out as we tried to schedule that was that, guess what? The orthodontist and the oral surgeon were already meeting. If you have an orthodontist or an oral surgeon that is currently doing any kind of orthognathic procedures or ortho surgical connected cases, they're already meeting. So I just tagged onto that existing thing, and I would show up for their meetings even if I didn't have a single patient to talk about. A, I was learning, and B, they would have a case that was Dr. So-and-so's patient, different general dentist patient. And they would have a question, a restorative based question about the treatment. Well, should we do this or do that, whatever? And what I became the voice of the restorative dentist, because the other dentist wasn't there. I was the only dentist there. And lo and behold, I became that sort of restorative specialist in the room, on the team. And,
right.
And now it's just developed into that. So yeah.
Yeah. So let me play devil's advocate, because you get these questions and I do too. And you're down there teaching at a place that's near and dear to both of our hearts, which is the Banking Institute. And so a young dentist comes up to you and goes, look, I'm totally picking up what you're putting down, Dr. Becker, but I don't have that kind of a network in my town, and all everybody's keeping everything in-house, and like the trends don't lend itself to what you have. What would you say to that? What's your thought on that?
Well, certainly I'm not an expert on trends or anything, but my first comment would be this. Just like doing a comprehensive exam on every new patient, that is my goal for every new patient. Do we hit it 100% of the time? No. Do we hit it 80 or 85% of the time? Yes. But why is that? Because that's our standard. And we try to stick to that, and so that's what patients expect in our office. And now patients call asking for that. Hey, you saw my friend so and so. You saw my sister, my spouse, whatever. I want that same. excuse me. I want that same, exam or that experience that they had. So by staying consistent and staying sort of true to your core beliefs, that just becomes what happens.
Right.
I was on a study club Zoom last night, and several of the people on the call see the majority of their new patients through a comprehensive exam. And the conversation was, how did that happen? Well, that's because that's just what we did.
Right.
And you know, the folks who maybe aren't doing that consistently but want to, haven't made that their priority. Well, it's the same thing. If you want to do more complex interdisciplinary cases and you want to work with a specialist team that is going to refer you patients ultimately, then you just have to start doing it. And
Right.
like I say, I was going to these meetings without a single patient to talk about. Back then we had charts. I would walk in with one chart, no chart, didn't matter. I was going to be there for the conversation of the other cases that were going on. And then that's how that grew.
Dude, I love that. Now, let's talk about what's going on right now as you're having these conversations. You and I talked about this before going live. You had a great January, but I feel like it's go time right now for the restorative dent. It's go time. There's no competition for discretionary dollars in the world. I got dumpsters on my street, people redoing their kitchens, can you talk about what we talked about before we went live? Like, it's an interesting conversation with patients right now, because I talk to dentists all the time that are listening to the masses and they're like, oh, dentists are down everywhere. I'm like, not the ones I'm talking to. You know, people do want high quality dentistry. And you had something, there's kind of like a micro trend you're watching. That was your hypothesis why people are getting their teeth done. Can you expose that a little bit?
Yeah. So, and I don't have any research to back this up. It's just my own observation. And it is that patients are currently spending the bulk of their time in front of their computer, looking at themselves, and they're going, what is going on with all this? My hair, and so they're seeing themselves for hours on end in, you know, full view on a screen. Number one. Number two, as you commented, maybe there's discretionary dollars, mostly because they're not spending money. Spending money on vacations, because where are you going? You know? And then the other piece of the puzzle that I've found, I've got so many people who we have been talking about doing dentistry that couldn't because they were too busy, or they're always traveling, or they're whatever it is. And now it's like, I'm at home with a mask on. Go ahead. You want to put braces on me? Put braces on me. You want to put me in provisionals? Put me in provisionals. What, you know, it's like, now's the time. And for whatever, again, I don't know why, but it seems like we're seeing a lot more of that. We'll call it case acceptance, if you want to call it that, from patients who we've been talking to about either aesthetic improvements or you know, orthodontic improvements, even surgery. Yeah, I couldn't do that gum graft but now it's like, yeah, go ahead. What do I care? I got a mask on. If I got to have, you know, perio dressing on my, you know, in my mouth for 2 weeks, doesn't matter. Sure. I think that's a piece of it. There's probably more to it. And the other side of that coin is we are seeing a ton of TMD patients, fractured teeth, painful teeth. Root resorption is like, I'm probably seeing more of that than I've ever seen in my whole career. And I think it's this damn COVID, you know, everybody's just gritting their teeth and they're needing help. And frankly, people have been out of care for a year. They've been afraid to, you know, come in. They've been afraid to go out. They've been sick. They haven't been sick. They don't want to get sick, whatever it is. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, I've got a year's worth of neglect that I got to deal with.
Right.
And so to me, we're being asked to provide care and service for our patients at a level that I think is, if it's not higher than it's been, it's at least equal to, you know, so.
Yeah. Now I want to go a little bit further, because we're talking about high quality new patients. A lot of dentists might be listening to this going, Dr. Becker, that would be the holy grail if I could get like 10 to 15 high quality new patients a month. Are you kidding me? That wanted what I did. But this is not event based. This is you have a process. I want to talk about some of the other components. You do something very specific in your new patient process, which is the celebration aspect of things. I think it's also important that when you build let's call it what it is, it's a sales process, that you're asking for referrals that's different than how most people are. So give us some perspective on the entire process, because this isn't just get them in the door and all. No. You're taking care of them. You've tweaked this process over and over. So talk about the nuances of your process.
So we talked a little bit about the new patient experience, the comprehensive exam piece of this. And to me, that's the beginning, paramount, whatever you want to call it. And it's building the relationship. It's building the trust. It's building the patient's awareness and understanding of their particular issues, concerns, problems. And once the patient has that ownership, it's so much easier to talk to them about, because then they come ask you, well, what are we going to do about that? What are you going to do about this? How are we going to solve this? How am I going to make sure that this doesn't get worse, et cetera, et cetera. And then the follow-up, and I think what you were talking about is, okay, so we've seen this patient, we've done this amazing new patient experience, comprehensive exam. Patient says that's the most thorough exam I've ever had of any kind. They come in literally asking for their treatment plan. You share with them what your thoughts are on how we're going to solve their particular issues. You, over the course of weeks or months or years, you proceed through a very well thought out treatment plan. And at some point, you get to an end point where we've now addressed all of the underlying concerns. And we've left you in a very stable, functional, healthy, aesthetically pleasing situation. And it's time to pat ourselves on the back and pat the patient on the back for making good choices, and celebrate and remind the patient where they started, because they all forget. And to say, okay, here's your before picture. Here's where you are now.
Right.
These are your responsibilities to maintain this. This is our responsibility to help you maintain this. And bringing in the team that helped us get there, and celebrating. And I mean, I'm not like a guy that's going to bring a bottle of champagne in necessarily, at least not at 10 a.m. But we're gonna celebrate in some way with the patient for choosing us, for making good choices, for taking care of themselves, going through the treatment, showing up on time, paying with gratitude and appreciation. And almost always there's some compliment. And we're going to take that compliment and turn it in to a request for a very specific referral. We're going to say, Mrs. Jones, thank you so much. I enjoyed working with you over this past year and a half so much. You've been a joy to work with. I hope you just love your final whatever dentistry we've done. And they give some compliment of some kind. Hopefully it's usually about the team, not about us. And how great they helped them get through the care and whatever. And then it's, if you know any one specific person who you think would benefit from the same kind of care that you received, please let them know. We would love to see them, and let the front desk know who that is so we can roll out the red carpet for them. See, wow. And that's the difference between asking every patient to send us everybody they know. Now, you can build a practice that way, and that's great. And I do think asking for referrals from as many people as you can is great. Make sure it's people you like, because if it's somebody who you struggle with working with and you ask them for referrals, I promise you they're going to send you patients, but it's going to be more people like them. Do it with people who you like, who you enjoy working with, and who seem to want what's best for them. And of course, show up and pay you. And all of the sudden, instead of having to see 20 people to get 5 good, great patients, you see 5 to get 5 great patients.
Yeah.
That's
correct. I love the post-treatment celebration. I'm shocked. I'd say 90% of dentists don't do that, even when they do.
95% don't do it.
Why? Why don't they do it?
Because I think initially it feels awkward. Okay. And maybe they just never thought about it. they might want to celebrate. Look, we've been through a lot together. We've been through the trenches, man. We went to war together to get your mouth where you wanted it and where it needed to be and where it's going to be now stable for the next 20 or more years, 30 years, where you're not going to need any dental care other than routine maintenance. We've done that. Let's celebrate. I think a lot of dentists want to do that, and the team wants to do that too.
Right.
And so this is as much for your team as it is for, building your practice and referrals and all that. But we don't know how to do it. And so I know some dentists, a friend of mine, David in New Hampshire, he just schedules it. It's a next appointment. For me, and maybe New Hampshire is a little more slow paced than Atlanta. My patients don't have time to come in just for me to do that. So it's a specific appointment. We need to do a final bite check. We want to double check your night guard, and we want to get some final photos with our portrait studio flashes that you're going to get a take home like headshot that you can use, professional grade headshot. And that's the appointment. That's what they think they're coming in for. And we do all that, but then we celebrate.
Yeah.
And then we review where they were and where they are. And we review their responsibilities, and we ask for that special referral.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Would you agree that the more comprehensive the case is and the more interdisciplinary it is, the longer the time frame can be? And you're exactly right. A year and a half, people don't remember where they were a year. Sometimes these cases go longer than a year and a half. They don't remember, and they get their hair done in the whole process. They come in, they just look a little bit better. We won't even go into that, but you can see they're like into their appearance a little more.
And oftentimes, and I'll steal Glenn DuPont's verbiage. Oftentimes they become way more interested in their overall health with this sort of idea of integrated medicine, that they are eating healthier and they're exercising more and they're flossing more. Somehow when people floss more, they always seem to get healthier, not because they floss, but maybe, but they're, and so, yeah, it's like a whole different, like you say, their hair. If it's a gentleman, they came in with a scraggly beard, and now they either have clean shaven or they have a neatly trimmed goatee, like those little things. They either got contacts or new designer glasses, it's an interesting thing. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it happens a lot, right. And you all see it. Everybody sees it.
Right. Now, I hope you guys are, if you're listening or you're watching, you're getting an idea of the compound effect of the process. So number one, you're taking the whole interdisciplinary thing and flipping it on its head. Number two is when they come in, you do an extraordinary job taking care of them. We're going to celebrate. Now, go a little bit deeper in the whole, we kind of want to know who these people are, and you're not spreading the blanket and going, hey, look, just send us all your friends. No. I'm going to open the door that if you let us know who they are, we can roll out the red carpet and we can, be intentional about that. Just explain why that's so much more important when asking for referrals than just asking for blanket referrals.
Okay. So I'm going to use a pediatrician as an example. For anybody who has little kids, you may get referred from a friend to go to XYZ pediatrician in your town. And you call up and, Dr. Wonderful is not taking new patients. And that's a common thing at a pediatrician's office. Right. And you end up having to see the new pediatrician, whoever the newest associate in the group is. Not that that's bad. That's great because it gets the new person busy. But part of that is because of the sort of mass referral way that those people get patients. But so our patients are trained that, they come into your office and you're busy and it's hard for them to get an appointment. So they might even assume that you're not even accepting new patients. So then the corollary is a lot of consultants and people with great intentions say, so ask everyone for a referral, as many as you can get. Let them know you're seeing new patients. And I'm not saying not to do that. But what I'm saying is then you could end up getting so busy seeing so many new people who either A, don't want what's best for them, or B, don't want what you do or what you love to do. And although they may need a dental home, and I'm not saying that's bad, but if I want to spend my time doing more comprehensive, interdisciplinary types of cases, I'd like to focus on those people because I have a limited number of hours in the day.
Right.
I see patients from 7 to 3 or 3:30 every day, well, Monday through Thursday. And if I'm going to see an hour and a half new patient, I don't have time to see 20 or 25 new patients. And my hygienists are all booked, so they don't have time to see a whole bunch of new people that aren't going to help our practice grow. And now I'm talking from a business standpoint. Look, I am all about helping patients, and if somebody needs our help, we're going to see them. And if we get to the point where we grow so much that I need to bring another dentist in, hallelujah, so be it. That's not our direction right now. I'm not at that point in my life, but so we're growing it one person at a time, intentionally trying to select patients who will be, as you said, will be quality, well-referred patients.
Yeah. Now we're going to have some fun with this because I've known you, and you and I, we both care about the younger dentists coming in this world. But if I'm listening to this again, wait a minute, Daren, you work 4 days a week, 7 to what, 3:30? You're in downtown Atlanta. There's a lot of competition there. You're a fee for service practice. People pay your full fee. So what I want to share with listeners is you can do, the cool thing about this noble industry is there's no one way to do it. But if you choose the quality route, I will tell you it's the road less traveled. You do have to be intentional. You got to be good at communication. And there is a world of great dentistry out there to be done. And the world wants this. Like, people think, oh, people are going to pay for dentistry. That's not true. I believe this, and you do too. I know that money spent on dentistry is some of the best money you could ever invest as a human being. We can actually now prove that almost statistically, that money spent on your oral health is going to improve the quality of your life, probably the length of your life. There's a lot of things. And I think that's the whole new brand of integrated, whatever you want to call it. It's the healthy approach, and the world is ready for this. Don't you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. Look, there are way more people in my community and your community than you can possibly see. So I feel like I have to start with the premise of I can't see everybody. I can't be everything to everybody. And so I get to choose, as you said, our noble profession. You get to practice any way you want. You want to work from 7 to 3:30? Go ahead. You want to work from 9 to 6? Go ahead. You want to take a 2-hour lunch? Go ahead. You want to skip lunch? Go ahead. You want to work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday? Go ahead. You want to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Go ahead. You get to do it any way you want. So do it any way you want. I have chosen a way that allows me to spend time with my family, because that's an important part of my life. Obviously, that's why I actually do what I do. That my family's my why, by the way. I also choose to spend time helping my profession and younger dentists. So I do some dental education, both at the Pankey Institute, at the dental school, back when we could go there. We're not quite back to that yet. Working with residents at the dental school, having dentists in my office. And so, that's going to take some time. And the type of dentistry we do requires a decent amount of non-direct patient time to work up the case, to meet with the specialist, to do the wax up, to do the homework, to study the case. And if you're working Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, you got no time to do that other than family time. So I've chosen my mode of practice so that I have the time to balance all of these things out and spend time with my family. And then, occasionally you want to do something recreation. So, I want to go fishing or play golf or do, whatever it is you do, go for a bike ride. You need the time to do it.
Or take your friend to the Masters.
Take Kirk to the Masters.
That was one of the best times of my entire life.
We're doing it again, just not this year, I don't think.
All right. Sounds good. Deal. So now go back to the process. So as we kind of put a bow on this and wrap this up a little bit, there's so many other pieces that I want to get into with you, Daren, the digital piece, but that's for another show and all.
Okay.
Any other nuances to the process that you think would be important for the listeners to understand how I get a more high quality referral consistently throughout my career?
Yeah. So, I mean, you touched on the digital piece, and we're doing a master's class with ActU. I don't know the date. I'm sorry. I probably should. But coming up, I think in the next month, that we're going to talk specifically about that piece of it, the digital piece of it. So, but with regard to how, I think it's finding specialists. If this is the path you want to go on, finding specialists who have similar practice philosophy, similar dental philosophy, occlusal philosophy, aesthetic philosophy, whatever it is about how the practice is. So there's some continuity of care. If your practice is one that is a relationship-based fee-for-service type of a practice, and you're working with a specialist that maybe is, focused on high volume and doing, they're tied into a bunch of insurance plans, and it's more, fix on failure versus being proactive, and it's going to be hard to do that. So you find the specialists that are aligned with your way of thinking. And you said something earlier about being in a community where that doesn't exist. You might have to develop it. You might have to find somebody who you know because they were in school with you, or because they go to your church or synagogue, or because they're in your building. And it may take time to develop them. You may have to bring them along and see if they're willing to, look at patients differently than maybe they are. But I think that in most corners of the world, you're going to find that there are people who are similarly aligned with you. And you just have to find those people, partner with them, and be straight up open with them and say, hey, I want to work with you. I'm going to send you the bulk of my referrals. By the way, I don't do any endo. I don't do any surgery. Don't show me blood and gore and guts and veins in your teeth and stuff. I do minimal, limited ortho, like tipping one tooth or something. So everything else gets referred. And people say, oh my God, you're sending all this work out. Yeah, no. First of all, I think you can only be a master at a handful of things. And so, you can choose to be a do everything and be okay at it, or you can be a master at a couple things that you love doing. That's what I'm doing. And so I'm going to let the people that's all they do their thing. And that's what's turned into, it's paid off in spades for me. So.
And go back. I want you to go back to this. One last thing is that, and I'm going to kind of lead you with this because I know your story more than most everybody listening.
More than I do.
Yeah, no, not true. Not true. If you're a dentist listening, you're like, oh, you don't understand. My community is different. I don't have this, then it's time to go find a community, or like Mark Murphy said last week, you'll love this because we love Murph. Murph's like, no, some people just got to learn. You don't learn swimming from a video. You jump in the pool and you start swimming. It requires that you probably go to the Pankey Institute or something. Now, I know this about you because you were a kid. You were in the arena. You learned how to swim with the best swimmers in the world when you were 11 and they were 18 or 20 or 30. But I think by osmosis, when you're around other people that think, you can get a sense of how this works. So can you explain this? Why do you spend so much time at the Pankey Institute? What happens? And if somebody's listening and they've never been, tell them why they have to go.
Okay. So yeah, number one, to say what you're saying, to do a higher level of sophisticated, comprehensive interdisciplinary care, you need more than whatever you got in dental school. That I'll say that outright. And that's not to put anyone down or to say you can't do it. It's to say, or at least I needed it. There was no way I could do the kind of dentistry I do today coming out of school. And so you have to find somewhere to do that. And you're, like you said, Murph said, you can't learn it online. You can learn a lot of things online. I think there's a YouTube video on how to do brain surgery. I really do.
Really?
But I don't think that's the best way to learn. You can get an overview. So what's great about going to a place like Pankey is it's immersive. it's hands-on, and you're surrounded, like you said, you're surrounded by like-minded people who are going to help you along in your journey, whatever that is, to help you be the best you can be, to reach your goals and potential. And even I'll say help you figure out what your goals might be. Because I think some of us go into it going, I don't know what I want to do. And for sure, I don't know if it's osmosis, but surrounding yourself with people who you aspire to, or you admire, or you you can learn from. That there's every great dentist, every great whatever, comedian, architect, whatever it is, they've had mentors. Right. And they have had people that they could stand on their shoulders to learn and grow and better for the benefit of themselves and their patients or their audience or their team or their whatever. And so where do you find those mentors? Well, I mean, you can go looking, but you can go to a place like Pankey and really meet these people and spend time with them. I'll say deep, intensive time. And yes, Pankey is currently having live courses down in Florida, and it's done in a very COVID safe way. Although most of us now have been vaccinated, which the CDC now says is great. We don't have to wear masks in small enclosures. It's small group setting. So, it's 17 or 20 people in the class. Everything's spaced out in the clinic and in the lecture, and everybody's masked, whatever. So, and there's also virtual, which to me is the support. It's the extra learning. It's the, okay, now I'm stuck, what do I do kind of thing. And that's where like virtual study clubs and that kind of stuff can really help. So, that to me, I think that's so well said. You got to jump in the pool, and you don't want to jump in the pool without a lesson. And you don't want to jump in the pool without somebody standing on the side with one of those life rings just in case. Right. And that's what you get at Pankey is the lifeline's right there. So you're in the lab, you're doing something maybe for the first time or doing something differently, whatever. And there's faculty there, right there over your shoulder saying, that's awesome. Here's how you could change this. Here's how you could do this better. And it's not just the technical piece, because it's now, how are you going to incorporate this into your practice? Love it. How are you going to do this in a way that you can still make money and not go out of business doing it? How are you going to get your team on board? It's all of that part of it. So it's the technical, it's the behavioral. How are you going to get your patients to go on board with it? And we have those kind of conversations. And to me, that's where the magic is, if you want to call it that.
Well, and I think you left out the secret sauce of the magic, which is these are lifelong friendships. I mean, you throw around names like Dr. Frank Graziano, and your dad was my C1 instructor. And I was nervous. And then his assistant, do you know who his assistant was for me at C1? It was Clayton.
Clayton, right. Clayton, nice.
And Clayton was such a great dentist. I was so intimidated by him, but we become dear friends. And then you have the Mike Flings and there's so many unbelievable people that you meet along the way. And you got Lee Brady now. It's an amazing thing. So if you're on the fence right now, you're listening, don't get off the fence and jump in. Because the important piece is that the relationships. And so that was early in my journey, and Murph and I were joking, like I stayed in the condos one night, and that's where I actually did my best learning. I laughed so hard, and Murph made me sleep on the condo couch. Like, seniority here, I get the room, and so, but at the same token, it was so much fun. And Carter, was it Rod Carter? Was it
Rod? Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun. And I miss all those guys. But I'm just telling you, and the reason I'm saying that is dentistry on this journey can be a very lonely, isolating journey where you don't have somebody to talk to, relate with, and now you're surrounded by a community of people trying to do the same thing. It's powerful, not only to your mental health, to your technical skills, to your behavior skills. It's just awesome what you guys are doing, and you've changed the lives of so many, thousands and thousands.
I think 17,000 something was the latest count, and I think it's wrong. I think it's more, but, right. And yeah, and it's all of the people who we now go to, who are our current experts and our current mentors and teachers in dentistry across the board. So many of them started out the same way I did, with attending a course at Pankey and then going through their courses, and now they're the leaders in dentistry.
Right.
I mean, I can't even. I mean, the example I can give right now, because it's on the top of my head, because I just finished his book, is John Cranham.
Yeah.
You know, he first told Cornell's story at Pankey as a student there. And now look at John and where he has, and how many people he's impacted. But it's not to toot anyone's horn. It's just to say we all need a place to go to recharge and re-energize and find mentors and learn new skills and both technical and behavioral, and how to be successful, and how to work with our teams, and how to work with our specialists. And that's, Pankey is the one place that I know of that does that. You can go to other centers and learn lots of great things. And so it's nothing, I'm not putting anyone else down. And I would argue that the best dentists I know, the most successful dentists I know, the happiest dentists I know, study at multiple centers.
Right.
They've spent time at Pankey. They've spent time at Dawson. They've spent time at Spear. They've spent time at Coyce. And other places. I don't want to leave anyone out. Those are the 4 that I've spent time. But the point is that you just got to do it. You just got to do it.
It's the best. You and I are going to visit on a lot of other things. I'm extraordinarily grateful for our relationship, your friendship. It's been so much fun. So, brother, thank you so much. Stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else. Thank you guys for listening to the Best Practices Show. If you enjoyed today, which I know you did, just do us a favor, hit the share button, share it with your friends. Check out the Pankey Institute. Dr. Becker, I'm going to put all of his information here on the show notes. So check back for the show notes, reach out to him. He's one of the most giving people ever. And you got a community of people willing to help you. So until we see you guys next time, keep watching the Best Practices Show. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Kirk.
Thank you, brother.